Now, Peter, we're off to find the real Mary Jane. For those of you that don't know, I don't know jack with a side of fucking squat about Madam Web outside of what I looked up afterwards, other than her being some annoying old broad that was there during the animated series that I wanted to kick in the face every time she showed up. So I was like, okay. And also, those that don't know, they went full blown stupid in Spider-Man comics after a while, to where it wasn't just a radioactive spider bite that got Peter his powers. Peter was a spider totem that was chosen to do this, that, and the other thing. And and then Madam Web. What does her web do, Mike?
It connects us all.
Thank you. So she was essentially this oracle type figure that could just see all of this. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. We're going to turn her into this all-seeing Overwatch style person that can like just be there. And I'm like, cool, that'd be fantastic. And then they didn't do that. And good Lord. Okay, I have a lot to say. You literally just saw it. What are your thoughts?
I am going to say this as plainly as possible, without hyperbole, without name calling or anything. I did not like this movie. But I also don't think it's the worst superhero movie ever made.
Not even remotely. Not even remotely. I could tell you right now, Morbius is worse than this.
The fact that I don't remember a thing about Morbius already puts this one above it.
The sad thing is, I remember too much about Morbius. And, but, okay, so we're going to get into some things here where originally Madam Web was just a person that could see stuff, had whatever, and that's just what she looked like. She got more entwined with all of this hobbity globbity as it went along. And then it went from, I believe her name was Constance Webb, or I could be wrong. I don't believe it was. It was a more traditional older woman's name. I believe they changed her name. I'd have to look that up again. But then they also, oh boy, what's the Spider Woman? Jessica.
Jessica Drew.
It was either Jessica Drew or someone else became a new Spider Woman, which is who I thought this was going to be, because she's much younger.
The one that you thought was Jessica is I believe it's Maddie Franklin.
Yeah. And then it goes in and it shows that, okay, she's just really young. And you're showing her meeting Ezekiel right away, and they're in the forest that looks shockingly similar to the forest that is right outside of New York.
It's almost like they did not leave New York when they filmed all this.
It's just like, guys, we couldn't have done anything to make that look different. But okay, so and then you get, and this is where I started worrying about the budget within the first 20 minutes of the movie. The spider people that come down and get her, that Ezekiel is a part of, and this and that. Those costumes, I had a chill run down my spine the second I saw them. I'm like, I had better costumes in my high school plays than this people had. This looks like they had garland strapped around themselves. And if you're gonna give Webb these powers, without her getting them themselves. The idea of her mom dying and being bit by the spider and saving her is not a terrible idea.
No, as far as comic book origins go, I've seen stupider.
And the worst part is, and I will defend this, at its core, now, so that no one can misquote me, at its core, the core is here. The 17 tons of shit surrounding it are all the 98% of how this film was put together. I need to be very clear when I say this, so I am not misquoted. At its core, the idea of this film isn't bad.
About that. So I don't know how early of a draft this was, but the original idea of this movie was the monster Spider-Man, or Ezekiel Sims, was supposed to go after Mary Parker to prevent Peter from being born.
That's worse. Oh my, I would have walked out of the movie. How would you know? Stop that. Also, I don't even you want to know what? That might have changed because of the legality questions I'm going to have later that make no fucking sense.
Oh, don't worry, we'll get there.
But
I just wanted to point out that this movie has been meddled in so many different places.
You don't say. But the idea that she had mother issues, oh boy, could they have actively shown that whatsoever throughout the entire film. They don't. She's just like, oh, a kid gave me a drawing. I don't know what to do. You've never interacted with a kid before? I had a shit dad. I still know how to interact with children. What's going on? I understand you were in foster care. That doesn't make you incapable of interacting with children.
Yeah. They say show don't tell, but when it comes to this specific like characteristic of Cassandra, they neither show it nor tell what her issue is with her mother. Only that she didn't know her.
She didn't
and
know
has made
her.
and just has made like assumptions about her. That's it.
Yeah, and I don't know if she was lied to in foster care, but did they lie that your mom just poof? And no one can figure out where she went? Normally the government could have told you, yeah, your mom dropped you off on the doorstep and her. No one knows. That's sketchy as fuck. You shouldn't assume that. No, my mom was a drug addict and popped off with Pedro. Why do we assume this shit? Anyway, going on. You have mom issues, and then therefore you figuring out how to handle children should have been more, I should say, eloquently done, because then it would go on to the further points of why I think this could have actually been a stellar movie. It could have been, because they hit points that could be legitimately heartwarming, but there's nothing to support them on.
Yep. Going back to the sort of mother-daughter angle, the fact that she does kind of become kind of a mother figure to the three spider people who show no evidence of gaining powers at all, except in flashbacks or flash forwards.
The biggest false advertising also. They are in those suits for 5 minutes.
Yep. Now, do those suits look good? I would personally say yes.
For the most part. Could they have used a couple extra minutes in the kitchen? Yes. Could they have gone away with the stupid, dumb, single, whatever spaghetti strap horseshit they had on Sydney Sweeney's? What was the point of that? That looks
None.
so stupid. But, like, for the budget this film had, those might have been Mark II Iron Man suits, I'm going to assume.
So the budget reportedly is 80 million. And yeah.
Oh, then yeah. I could be okay with that.
I am glad that they didn't spend like enormous gobs of money on this because I'd be asking, where is the money? Show me the money.
Very much. But okay, so we're gonna start getting into the points of where I'm literally wondering if there was legal trouble with this movie. The two biggest sins this movie does, in my opinion, is you finally got Adam Scott and Emma Roberts to be in a comic book property, and you wasted them. Wasted them.
God bless Adam Scott. I can't say he's given necessarily a bad performance in anything,
No,
but at the same time, he's given like nothing to do.
nothing to do. So now, the entire time, we have to tiptoe around the fact that that's Ben Parker. Why do we need to tiptoe around this at first? You said the name Parker. You're in a fucking Spider-Man related property. No shit, that's Uncle Ben. Why do we need to go, oh, and then they're like, yeah, I'm seeing a girl. Oh, it's serious. What's her name? We'll get into that later. We know her name's May. How fucking... Guys! Why are we doing this? What do you gain? Are we trying to fucking Blue's Clues comic book fans right now?
Wow, that's
what it is.
You do raise a good point. Like, is there any legal reason why they can't just say Peter?
That's what gets to me, because after all this hodgepodge, you have that name guessing game, and they cut them off twice before they could say Peter. Even after she has the kid, they can't even show the nameplate of Peter in his like bassinet thing. Like, can you actually? And that comes to think of it, have they said the name Peter Parker at all? Outside of the... Exactly. Including a person who knows who Peter Parker is now in those films. The Vulture knows who he is.
And yet he's never been name dropped.
They cannot stop from shitting their own shorts and then just throwing it all over the walls. So
I think the perfect way to describe this movie is, like, imagine you have a big research paper that's due, like you were assigned this paper 3 months ago and it's due tomorrow. This movie is basically the equivalent of pulling an all-nighter and putting the finishing touches like an hour before your class.
And like, I'm getting so confused. We're gonna get over where this thing places, and then I'm gonna go through the rest of how I think this movie could have been better. Like, actually, like, great. So they said this thing's 1,000% separate in its own universe from every other fucking spider related thing they've made. So, okay, that makes sense of why, you know, fucking Venom, Morbius, Kraven, and all these people would be around, you know, without Peter being fucking born. He's not even out the womb, and you've got most of his criminals there. So he's in his own universe, and then I'm like, you know what? If they just go, Venom happened, and just shove all that shit away and start fresh here and not shit their pants, but again, they just can't help themselves. This could actually be okay if the first person you start off with is Madam Web. But then my brain goes, we're going to have 4 spider-related entities before fucking Peter Parker!
Yep. And therein lies the problem. That's why this movie that's why this movie can't, like, it's when I say it's an abomination, I don't mean the quality of the movie because it's bad, but not that bad.
No.
However,
It trips over its own continuity.
it's kind of paradoxical because this movie, the only reason this movie stands alone is because someone at the studio couldn't decide which Peter Parker this movie was going to connect to. So eventually it said,
None.
fuck it, none.
None at all. So much the fact that he's not even born yet.
And also, why does this take place in 2003 of all years?
They're really specific to make you know it's then. And you know why? It's really weird that they mention all that. Oh, sorry. My bad. Spider-Man 1 came out in 2002. I really thought they were somehow being like, hey guys, do you remember the year that Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire came out? But so part of me was like, you know what? If they made another movie after this, which, oh boy, they're not in this universe, Ezekiel Sims would have been the reason that Jonah hated Spider-Man.
You see, this is why this movie can't. It takes place in its own universe because if it tried to connect to anything else, like continuity would just have to be thrown out anyway.
Right out the door. So anyway, we're going to start getting to the points of where I thought this actually could have been an okay movie. Do a little bit better job of showing her whatever with the spider cave, whatever, what's it's nuts, it's whatever. Show a thing where she's like, I don't know what happened with my mom, but foster care, I had bad relationships. I think I wouldn't be a great parent. And you need to have her not just being the awkward kid at the birthday party, have her show her like being asked to watch a kid or something and be like, whatever, I don't think I can. I don't think it'd be a good idea. I'm not going to be good with kids because that's just, my mom wasn't good with me. I don't think I'd be good, whatever. And then she's tasked with watching these kids. And you can make this, if they want to do alternate Spider universe, whatever, their own version of whatever, that's the only way I'm even thinking this works. Because then you establish that she wouldn't mind kids, but she thinks that she's not going to be okay. And then she gets tasked with protecting these kids because they need to develop and to the point where they can be on their own whenever they get their spider powers, because they're not fully grown kids, they're teenagers, which thank God somehow Sydney Sweeney can somehow still look like a teenager. How? I don't know. But, and then when they're adults, somehow they get their powers. They can still be off on their own, but she's still watching them and they're her kids and you don't fuck with them. And you do a better job of establishing her as a watching figure, always keeping over them, having Dakota Johnson actually care when she acts, because boy, could I tell as this movie went along further, she did not give a shit about this movie. That scene where she's like, oh, you really did care. You did love me. My roommate audibly broke into tear-inducing laughter. It was not good. But, and then you show in these flash forwards with Ezekiel, don't give him a spider costume. Just don't. He's going to die at the end of it. Don't give him a spider costume. Just don't do that. And then you show there's a weird figure always around these girls watching that he never sees. Or he always can't make out. But he just knows those three girls. And they go through all of this movie and I honestly like the CPR thing, and then they use that to save her life later on. Honestly like that. That was a really good touch.
Yeah, that was a nice moment.
But then you have some other bonding moments leading to them taking him down and her honestly showing throughout the film that she cared and not just a bunch of happenstance bullshit. Show some real emotional scenes and her like kind of getting excited about them having a baby, that she's going to know these people. And then at the end, when she essentially fucking becomes Oracle, you then have them go, he's just and then you have some neighbor go, oh, I didn't know you were having company over. He's like, I didn't. They're my girls. And like, you just have it be something really genuine and kind. Don't fucking superhero tense music over it, whatever. And then you show them gradually getting towards this. And then eventually it's like, and I will take care of them until they're able to take care of themselves. And then you show at the end of this montage of like them growing up that they have their powers and they're kicking ass. And you don't ever fucking floating above her like a really bad 80-yard in fucking ghoul monster at the end. Also, correct me if I'm wrong. Did it sound like the entire movie that Ezekiel Sims had his voice 80-yard over?
Oh, absolutely.
What the fuck was that?
I'll be honest. At first, I thought like, because we're by the time this video comes out, the movie has already come and gone essentially at the box office. But like, when I first started hearing about this movie, I thought, nah, you guys are exaggerating. Literally, his first line of dialogue is like 80-yard dubbed, and I'm like, oh god, is it gonna be like this the whole time? Only once in a while was it like not noticeable, but every other line, yikes.
Oh, it just got terrible. And like, okay, was there anything else that I got on it? I wrote some notes. Boy. Okay. Yeah, it's just this had the opportunity to be a somewhat decent film and an actual heartfelt film. At the end, when they're like caring for her and she like pre-tells, I can't remember, it's the shoot. I can't remember her name. Not Sydney Sweeney.
Isabella Merced.
Merced. That she sneezes. And she pre-tells her, bless you. And then they had a cute little like mom moment and whatever. And they're caring for her, talking about her, and she's just looking on and stuff like that. And you honestly could have had more moments like that. They actually had decent bonding at that little itty bitty moment. This could have been better if you would have just kept it on them. If you would have taken out this whole stupid Peter Parker subplot that A, is dumb, B, shows they had no intention of connecting this film to anything, and C, it just wastes time. And also, it is basically what gets them in trouble. We need to have them in this house. They can't be seen. Cool. We need to go to the hospital to where she needs to like give birth to Peter. Not only are we not just going to keep you at the house where we've made it obvious that no one knows where you are, we're going to stick one of you in the front fucking seat.
Yep. Huge red flag there.
Huh? We've established a psycho murderer is chasing them. Maybe you should cover them up in the back. I understand that you have a pregnant woman. Drive slow and scoot the seat back. Because you might lose both your wife and the kid there, Ben. But, oh my gosh. And then, but no, I'm sorry. Your nephew. But anyway. And then the thing that gets me. Oh boy, I need to check my Twitter. Yes, I'm still calling it Twitter, people. Fuck what Elon Musk wants to call it. I am not calling it X. Oh boy, where is that freaking quote from?
Are you talking about with
producer Lorenzo Di Bonaventura on why Madame Web doesn't have a post-credit scene? Everyone, I am not saying this wrong, and I swear I had a stroke the first time I was reading this. We really liked having the ambiguity of it and having the promise of it that stood hand to hand where the other piece would then solidify it in a certain direction. What's this other piece? Craven? They had no end credit scene. I wonder fucking why.
Because they knew this was going to flop.
The other one, and Mike, I would have walked out of the theater if they would have did this moment, but I swear on my soul, they were going to have Madame Web give Uncle Ben the idea for the great responsibility line.
for better or for worse, I like how Ben was just not in that scene at all.
Oh no, I get that. But this really gets me with the legality thing. Could they literally not do anything from Spider-Man films? Because they couldn't even say that line. They say it in reverse. Not with great power comes not with great power, which, by the way, people, the only one to say it right in a movie with
Is
how
Aunt
it was
May.
originally said is Aunt May. All of you got brainwashed. It's actually Aunt May that says it correctly, and then y'all jump down that film's throat. She's the only one that has said it correctly. That they couldn't say with great power must also come great responsibility. They say when you take on the responsibility, great power will come. I swore on my soul they were going to have her say that, and then they were going to have her be said that from the cave spiders, and then she was going to somehow talk with him on the phone about the baby, and then he was going to be like, yeah, I don't know if I could handle a kid. And then she's going to say that to him, and he would hang up the phone and go, yeah, that sounded weird. I get the gist. I'll tell someone that in a different way. Or like, that could be said better. Like, if you would have had Madam Web teach him the great responsibility line, I would have actively walked out of my theater.
That would have been that probably would have been a worse moment than that bit from Solo.
Yes, it would have. And here's the thing with this film. We've basically talked out everything. Outside of that firework thing was, and the CGI of you can be everywhere at once now. How does Seeing Into the Future allow you to split into 3 separate beings?
Yeah, I can't justify that.
Absolutely. And then that's where I'm talking. And then like going on at that end fight, when at the end, when she's like, in your future, you weren't seeing these girls, you were seeing me. That ties back to the fact that A, he killed her mom, and B, they're her girls. She's protecting them. You're not getting through me to get to them. They could have actively made this a great story about a person becoming a surrogate mom, and they just pooped all over it.
Yeah, I think therein lies the issue. Like, there is a great movie in this. There is a great movie buried under a studio mess.
It is. And hey, Mike, you and me had a great conversation where I thought that you weren't gonna see Madam Web, and you don't like real cinema, so you were gonna go see Casablanca instead. And then you informed me, which I'd forgotten about. Who are the masterclass writers behind this film? And what do their works entail?
So this was written in part by the director S.J. Clarkson, and I believe one other person, Claire Parker, and also the writing duo of Matt Sazama and Burke Sharpless, who wrote such cinematic masterpieces as The Last Witch Hunter, Gods of Egypt, and Morbius.
There was another one that came up too, and I can't remember what it was. But I was just like, how do you keep getting work?
They also wrote Dracula Untold.
That's what it was!
I'm leaving out Power Rangers because they only worked on the story.
And Power Rangers was good. I'll defend Power Rangers.
That's why it's good. They only did the story.
Yes. But it's like, how do you have that CV and they go, we want to make our own cinematic universe. Here's this unknown character that no one cares about or that no one knows, and you need to make us care about her. Go have fun, guys.
I will only give them the benefit of the doubt in that maybe they're just really good in the room, and then it just so happens that every single one of their projects gets trampled on by the system.
It could be, but man, that's not a good track record.
Oh no, not at all. Like
Oh gosh, but yeah,
I hope their next movie is better, or at least not as weighed down by this much studio bullshit.
yeah, yeah. It still blows my mind that we have a Morbius, Madam Web, and Going to Be Craven movie, and we don't have. And they thought about that all these should come out first. These are what they put in their production pipeline first, before Black Cat, Prowler, and fucking Miles Morales. I understand he has 2 animated movies, but how on God's green earth does he not have a live action role when he was introduced and shown to exist in the first Tom Holland Spider-Man film? That is who Donald Glover is talking about.
I bet because the Spider-Verse movies are so good, Sony is scared shitless that
Oh, I bet they are.
like they have to be terrified, because if they screw up, it's game over.
And they're watching everyone do this, just like, and then you want to know what the studio's going to be? They're like, yeah, I just think that people don't want Spider-Man movies that don't have Peter Parker in them. That will be the studio takeaway. Not that we should make the films better.
Because of course studios are going to learn the wrong lesson. That's if there was like a if there was like a studio politics course, that would be like lesson number 1. Hollywood always learns the wrong lesson.
Yeah. You had a lot of good actors in this movie, and you wasted all of them. Sydney Sweeney's never going to be near a comic book property probably ever again, unless it's DC. God, I just want to be in James Gunn's office right now going, well, that they're not going anywhere. Nope, that one's not going to be in another movie. Nope, that one's good for the list. Hey, James Gunn, let's do a
Hold on. Before you say anything, one of the actors here will be in Superman Legacy. That's Isabel Merced. She's Hawkgirl.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Good. Because she was like the bet. Sydney Sweeney's a great actress. I just think she got fed shit. Of the 3, she's the one that did the best in the film, in my opinion.
Yeah, she's like, I don't think I've ever seen a bad performance from her. Not like even in like one of the Michael Bay Transformers movies, she still shines.
And okay, now there wasn't ever like a Justice Society of America mentioned in any of James's plans, right?
I don't think so.
Okay. They should do one. And they should have Sydney Sweeney be Stargirl.
Ooh, I like that.
I'm just saying. It'd be really good. And she could kick ass in that role. And I really like Stargirl.
I also kind of would like to see Dakota Johnson given another chance, because I've seen her in other movies. She is a much better She's a much better actress than this movie would have you believe.
She is. I can tell you she is. And there was and I think that toward the end they wanted to just be done. Honestly. This was the most I could tell the people in the film knew this thing was going to be a pile of garbage.
Yep.
And somehow because of chronological order, we're going to get another Sony Spider-Man film after this.
2 more. Craven's first.
Oh, well, I don't even think about Venom. That's just the one that they somehow don't screw up. I don't care what anyone says. Venom 2 was not as bad as people make it out to be. Y'all are crybaby morons that can never be happy. I don't even think about that. Was it someone else? Because I don't count that fucking El Morte movie with Bad Bunny. Because I don't think that thing's happening.
Oh, well, if it wasn't canceled before this movie's opening weekend, it's probably canceled now. They say it's still in active development, but I don't believe it. I don't believe anything past Craven is making it out of this current slate.
And where would they even go? You have Aaron Taylor Johnson playing this, who is great. Is amazing. Unbelievably talented actor. And you have him in this, and this film likely, even if it does well, which this is gonna be what people say no one goes to MCU movies anymore, is actually going to be. I think they might have a slight bit of curiosity because it's rated R. This is the one time where I actually think it being rated R might help.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be like, okay, I might see some blood.
Unlike the rest of the internet, which is like, you know, for valid reasons, mind you, have written off Craven because of its association with Morbius and Madam Web. I still have hope for that movie, in spite of Sony's waning reputation with these characters.
Yeah, I think it can still be a good movie. I just don't know why they need to make character changes. Why does he need to ingest animal blood to be a good hunter?
It's like studios have learned nothing from Catwoman.
And that is another thing when people are like, this is the worst comic book movie ever made. I'm like, no, motherfucker, this is the worst one you've ever seen. Did you forget they made up a new Catwoman to star in a Catwoman movie that got licked back to life by Egyptian cats? And then fought someone over makeup products? Did y'all see Steel? Is Morbius that far behind us? Do we remember Green Lantern? Do we remember Rise of the Silver Surfer? Does anyone remember Elektra?
I know people love Nicolas Cage, but Ghost Rider?
I'll defend Ghost Rider 1. Fun fact about Ghost Rider 2, that was supposed to be a reboot that Nicolas Cage just bogarted his way into.
Maybe that's why
the continuity actually is different. In the sequel, when you watch it, it literally has to have a different origin story.
Maybe that's why people have found appreciation for that, because it's completely batshit as I've been told.
Oh, have you not seen it?
I think I've only seen the first one.
Mike, I see a 0 stars that we need to do.
Can we do both?
Absolutely. A fresh piece of paper in business log just came across my desk. That shit's happening. Because I haven't seen it since it was in theaters. I own the first Ghost Rider. That's fucking happening. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, that's happening.
Awesome. As for closing thoughts on Madam Web, it's not a good movie.
No. It could have been.
It's not a good movie. It could have been better, but it's still not the worst. I wanted to see this just to give it its day in court, but if unless you have a platform, you don't need to see this. If you don't have Movie Pass, you don't need to see this.
No, do not be like I spent $8. I've there's few things I've spent worse things on than $8 than watching this. If I wouldn't have been talking about that, I asked Mike if we were going to review it. Otherwise, I was not going to see it until my roommate would have been like, "Oh, you want to know what the best part was?" My roommate was like, when Morbius came out, he was like, "We're seeing Morbius, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're seeing Morbius." And then I go to my roommate. I'm like, "Hey, I'm seeing Madam Web later. Do you want to see it?" Strong 10 seconds of silence. What is Madam Web? Like, oh no. But this movie is not worse than Morbius. And I will literally bare knuckle fight anyone else that says otherwise. Is this a good movie? No.
Yeah.
No. This movie had low quality CGI that looked bad. Morbius had high quality CGI that looked worse.
Mm-hmm.
And out of the plot of this movie, if you don't change a thing, just the innards and the writing and the one or two moments, you can make a good film. If you keep the exact plot in Morbius and do as little as changing as I suggest to this, you cannot make a good movie out of Morbius. You can't.
Even if you made Morbius R-rated, that only makes it barely passable.
Yeah. But this could have been really good. This is a 8 movie trapped in a 4.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, that's something else. All right, we're gonna get on out of here and on to at some point scheduling those Ghost Rider Zero Stars because I'm fucking excited. I love that first Ghost Rider, and I don't remember if I really love the second one. I just remember that Ghost Rider pisses flames at his bike at one point, and it somehow got Idris Elba to be in it. The first movie I ever saw Idris Elba in was Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance. But anyway, Mike, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me on various social media at Captain K42. You guys can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/Coach K42. And you can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and that place at Ren Pop Culture. You can also find us here on YouTube and Podchaser. Consider supporting our Patreon at patreon.com/Renegade Pop Culture. Listen to all of our podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. You can escape, so do we.
Absolutely. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, I'm not calling it X, Threads for crying out loud, YouTube, Twitch, everything. On Twitch, I am streaming Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden, then it'll be, I believe it's Stellar Blade, and then it will be Rise of the Ronin. And I'll be probably finishing Shadow of Mordor in between that, and then doing Shadow of War. And then as soon as those are done, I'll be going on to the Infamous series. But yeah, we'll see you guys later. This will be uploaded probably the day before, but again, the podcast will likely be up tomorrow if I get that bad boy edited. So we will see you all later. Bye.
Peace.